when we think about poverty in the inner city. I think one of the things that stands out a lot is the economic poverty. You see abandoned homes, you see empty businesses, you just see a lot of overgrown properties, financial poverty. I think the list goes on. A lot of it shows itself in crime, violence, going to sleep, gunshots, you name it. We saw it waking up the next morning where our house was shot at. After several years of living through this and experiencing it, we began to ask ourselves some questions. What would it look like if our neighborhood could be transformed? And so one of the things we did by accident was we bought this old abandoned building, fixed it up, took about 3 years, mostly volunteers and donated material. This facility that was once known for darkness, through a whole host of volunteers and individuals, became this center of light and really became the model in this neighborhood.
When we think about revitalizing neighborhoods, the police will tell you that a cleaner neighborhood is a safer neighborhood. And so as we began to clean up, we began to recognize the power of neighbors who were for the community, who were building the community, how powerful they were in a neighborhood. And so as we began to fix up these houses, we had to think about what were we going to do? Were we just going to transfer these houses over to new ownership, which is a powerful strategy and a powerful piece in a community. But we said, what would happen if we did more than just place a family in a home? We actually had that family become a lighthouse. That family became a light in the neighborhood, that they actually became an advocate in the community. And so the strategy as we started was we wanted to see something positive happen. But when we began to give families actual responsibilities to be an advocate in the community, it took the community to a whole nother level. So we can tell a difference between a neighborhood that has a lighthouse versus a neighborhood that doesn't.
Our housing program is kind of this full-bodied, multifaceted approach to community development specific to North Omaha. So in partnership with churches around the city and contractors and various volunteers that have caught Abide's vision, we do renovations projects much like this one.
The building led to buying multiple houses in that neighborhood, fixing them up, volunteers and donated materials and putting families into them. And the police came to us several years after we were doing some of the things that we were doing with some of the houses in the neighborhood and said, we don't know what you guys are doing, but whatever you're doing is working. This neighborhood that we redlined as one of the worst is now one of the best. And so we'd love to partner with you to see how we can see other neighborhoods that are in similar situations completely be restored and transformed. And so we stumbled upon this lighthouse strategy just with my dad's vision and heart to see an old, dilapidated building transformed and utilized.
We currently have 20 lighthouses where people are living in, 7 that are being refurbished. But if you can imagine 700 neighborhoods, it would be an incredible blessing if we had 700 lighthouses.
We've actually had a number of houses donated, whether for various reasons, whether the yards are overgrown or they're just eyesores in the neighborhood or the roof's caving in and that kind of thing. So through those transitions, it's been really beautiful to see the transition from those dilapidated kind of eyesores in the neighborhood and the impact that renovating and creating this kind of beautiful home and the impact that has in the neighborhood as well.
One of the powerful things about lighthouses is that we place a family in a refurbished house, which a refurbished house and a cleaned up house really adds value to a community. It gives people a sense of esteem, gives people a sense of possibility. And so when you put a family in that house and they become a bright spot in that community, they become an advocate in that community for good and for the future.
Well, this was a pre-existing lighthouse. There had been another individual from the ministry who had lived here before.
Our vision is to create a model that can be replicated in other neighborhoods, so these churches that are partnering with us can take that back to their neighborhood and on a greater scale, other cities in the United States and even on a greater scale around the world.
There are certain neighborhoods that have a significant number of houses that are really dilapidated. and abandoned. And in those neighborhoods that we recognize, if we can get one house and we can fix it up and put a family in, it can actually really advance that neighborhood.
So in addition to all those block parties and grill outs and walking around the neighborhood and striking up conversations and those types of things, we're introducing folks in the neighborhood to this beautiful community that is church.
Even though if it's just by going outside and if you see the houses and you want something better, for not only for yourself but for everybody else, because now you see them as brothers and sisters in Christ, even though if they don't know Christ or they know.
To some degree, houses have been donated, and that's helped us decide what neighborhoods to choose. Because of 700 neighborhoods, we could choose every one of them. We're up to 100, which the houses being donated has helped us decide what neighborhoods to go into. This is what's powerful about the whole neighborhood adoption, is that partners are not just sending their resources and saying, you purchase a house and you fix it up, but partners are heavily involved in purchasing that house with us, refurbishing that house, and being involved in that community on an ongoing basis. That is powerful, because in the past there's been a programmatic effort to change communities. This is actually a partnership process to change communities. So we use programs, but it's driven by relationships, and those partnerships are a powerful